Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in again to the Small Town Johnstown podcast. I am Jenny, and today we are here with Michael, who is kind enough to have me and Nick on his podcast, Where Adventure Lives. So, hi, Michael. Thank you for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
So, I was looking over your profile from, I think it was the Johnstown magazine or something, and the list of things you do is about this long. So, I know you do the podcast.
Yeah.
But outside of that, you do like canoe clubs, you do the trail digging and everything. So if you just want to run me through that list of things that you do real quick, because way more than I do. I work and I do this.
Yeah. So I work. I have a regular job. I work for a company called Inshore Technologies, and we're an IT consulting firm. I'm a supervisor there. I've been there for 17 years. But outside of that, I'm the president of the Benscreek Canoe Club. I am a board member of the Conemaugh Valley Conservancy. I am the chair of the Cambria Regional Chamber's Rec Committee. And that committee looks to bridge the gap between outdoor recreation and small businesses. And I've been the project coordinator for the Incline Plane Trails project for 8 years now. So I've been up on the Incline Plane hillside digging trails every Saturday and Sunday from 8 until 10 for 8 years. Wait, one more.
Oh, there's another one.
There's another one. And recently we completed a set of trails for the South Fork Historical Society.
Okay.
I just finished those about 2 months ago, and we did a ribbon cutting for those, and we're about to move into phase 2 of that project tomorrow. I'm going to start flagging the new trails out there in South Fork.
Yeah. So what does the trail digging entail? Like, how does that work?
It comes in a couple of phases, and the first phase is kind of a planning phase where I have a blank canvas of a hillside or an area that somebody wants to put trails in, and I go out with flaggers tape, and I kind of just walk the area. And I also use topographical maps to look at the lay of the land and figure out which way makes the most sense for a trail to flow, because you want some nice flow to your trails. That's phase 1, and I flag the trails at that point. And then phase 2 is really the hard work, and that's where we go out and we cut the trails by hand. That is using 2 different tools, a flat shovel, and it's a big metal hoe from a company called Rogue. They're called Rhino hoes. Those are used for cutting fire lines out west when there's brush fires, but they also make really great trail tools. So we do what's called bench cutting. You'll have a slope like this, and you need to cut an L out of it, essentially, and that's what we do with those hoes. We cut an L out, and that's the bench of the trail, and move the dirt down the hill, and then we pack it in place, and you've got a fresh trail at that point.
That's cool, because for me, it's just, everything's already carved out. Got to step over a few rocks. So, I couldn't imagine, designing a whole trail from scratch, basically. Just walking through the woods, if there was a trail here, where would it go?
Yeah, I got really lucky. I took 2 weeks off of work with some vacation time I had, and I spent some time out in the woods with Clark Fisher, who did the Conemaugh homing trails. And Clark is amazing at designing trail systems, and I learned a ton from him. So before I even started the Incline Plane Trails project, I got to hang out in the woods with Clark, do a little bit of manual labor and help him out with those Conemaugh homing trails, and see how you plan for trails, because you also take things into consideration like runoff. If water's coming down the hill, you don't want it going down the length of your trail, because it'll carve a rut in your trail. So you want it to, pass across the trail and down the hillside. So I got really lucky. I wasn't going into it blind. I learned a ton from Clark.
So he kind of mentored you about trail digging and what a good trail looks like?
He did. He taught me which tools I should be using. Otherwise, I would have went out there and not known anything. And
just start digging it out by hand.
Yeah, I've been way over my head. This is really hard. How do moles do this? So, yeah, I am indebted to Clark for teaching me everything that he did.
That's awesome that you had someone to guide you through that, because, like I said, I wouldn't know where to start with any of that.
Yeah, and when I started the Incline Plane Trails project, I had mountain biked in high school, but when I went to college in '99, I kind of stopped mountain biking and doing a lot of the outdoor rec stuff, because college takes up all of your time.
Yeah.
You're a poor college student. So until I started the Incline Plane project, I wasn't even a mountain biker. I didn't have a mountain bike when I started the project. I just saw that hillside and thought, this is something that kind of could benefit the community and maybe bring some people into Johnstown. And as I was digging it, a friend of mine was like, hey, I've got this old mountain bike. Do you want to buy it off me? And I did. And that got me re-hooked into cycling. And now that's all I want to do.
Do you have any favorite trails, ones that you haven't made?
Yeah, I really do enjoy the Conemaugh trails because they have a bunch of variety to them where you have really nice flowy sections, then you have some climbs. I like pushing myself and trying to pedal uphill sometimes. There's some technical stuff out there. They did a really great job with that. And they're up to like 45 miles of trail out there right now that they've built off of the initial 17-mile loop was the phase 1 of that. And then phase 2, they ended up with like 45 miles all told.
That's way farther than I could bike.
A 30-mile ride is just getting your legs warmed up around here.
Oh my goodness. After mile 2, it'd be like, okay, well, I'm going home.
That's it for the day.
I'm done. We did Path of the Flood Trail. That's a bit more beginner friendly. I feel like it wasn't too crazy. We just walked that.
Yeah.
And that was nice. And also the Ghost Town Trail, I feel like, is very popular around here too.
It is. And here's a little fun fact for you. I grew up in Nanny Glow. And whenever they initially put the Ghost Town Trail in, my mom was on the council to have that trail put in because when I was a kid, they had ripped the tracks out and it was just the gravel bed there and it was horrible to ride bikes on. We did it anyway. So I was there from the conception of the Ghost Town Trail. The initial section went from Nanny Glow to Dilltown. And I've got all kinds of like cool swag at my house from the ribbon cutting of that. It was 92 or 94. I can't remember. That was a long time ago.
That's cool though. You've always been like trail outdoorsy people growing up.
Yeah, and as I got older, I didn't realize it until, like after I got out of college and I realized what I was missing while I was in college. And unfortunately, I found out too late. There's all kinds of great stuff around Indiana because I went to IUP as well, and I could have been doing it the whole time I was there, but I was just focused on college stuff at that
sometimes
point.
you get wrapped up and don't pay attention. Like even now when we drive around Johnstown, walk around, it's like I've never seen this business before. We've always talked about this place, but we haven't been in here before. So sometimes when you're so busy and wrapped up, you miss the little things that are right in front of you.
Yeah, we were downtown last night for the Christmas market.
We were there too.
I thought I saw you guys, but like we were bundled up and my wife's like, I'm getting cold. I'm like, all right, let's keep walking. But we went into Lamb Cakes, and Chad was talking to us, and he was saying how many people come in, and they're like, I always meant to stop in. I just never got around to it. He's like, I've been here for 8 years.
Yeah.
But you're right. Daily life happens, and you're just caught in the hustle and bustle of it, and you don't take those couple of minutes to stop in and check out those things that you drive by every day. I've got my Friday routine. I try to go to a couple of local businesses and support them, especially Amerigo's, if you guys haven't been down there yet.
I don't think so.
It's in Cambria City. Friday is bread day.
Okay.
So he gets fresh bread in from Pittsburgh, and he gets bagels. And his bagels that he gets are amazing.
And what's the name of that?
Amerigo's. It's, if you know where Aces is in Cambria City.
Yeah.
He's like 2 blocks down towards Sheets on the right-hand side. They own that, the flower shop next door, Alchemy, and Bridger's Cross, which is like the little religious shop down the street too.
Okay,
they have a bunch
we
of
haven't
stuff.
explored too much of Cambria City. We've stopped down a couple times to go to Ryan's
Yeah.
and the vet. That's about it.
Well, those are 2 good places to go. I
Yeah.
mean, let's be honest. Now you need to add Amerigo's to your stop as well.
Yeah, we definitely will.
Yeah, you wouldn't be disappointed, I promise.
So we want to backtrack a little bit. Before the trails, so you do work full time and you're president of like 50 different clubs. How do you balance that? Like, what does a typical week or a month look like for you?
Once a month, there's usually a week of meetings, I call it, where like every night I have some kind of meeting going on. But, my wife and I don't have kids, which it works out in our favor because we get to do things that get us involved with the community, or we get to go out and do recreation-based things and enjoy each other's company without having to worry about babysitters or if we leave the kids at home, CYS coming and taking them away or anything like that. It's just a lot of time management, and I've got really good with it over the last probably 7-ish years. And it becomes very routine after a point. You just get in the flow of it, and you know what you have coming up, and I use my Google Calendar very heavily and rely on notifications so I don't forget anything. But yeah, it's not as bad as it sounds like it would be, to be honest with you.
I was going to say, for us, we are very bad at scheduling and planning and time management. We're working at the Google Calendar. We are getting it. So you typically have like you said like 1 week of meetings?
Yeah.
So does every club kind of meet like once a month? And I would assume you work during the week, and then you said you do the trails on weekends.
Yeah. The clubs meet once a month generally. The CVC, the Conemaugh Valley Conservancy, that one's kind of nice because we meet every other month. Which makes it a little bit easier. But then, because of my job, I have to be present for things like school board meetings and stuff like that.
No.
Oh yeah, those are a treat. Fortunately, now I set them up and kind of run them remotely, which is nice.
If that's an option, yeah.
Yeah. But the whole time during the pandemic, I had to be at every school board meeting to stream it for them, and oh my God, I appreciate the work that people on school boards put in, but I would not want to face the criticism that school boards face.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just a lot of time management, and you get really good at juggling things after a while.
Yeah. So what do you do in your free time when you're not at meetings and
Are you ready for another list?
Yes, I'm excited.
Awesome. So outside of the obvious, like whitewater kayaking, or even just going out to the Quay and doing some flat water stand-up paddleboarding or mountain biking, or gravel biking, which are the two types of cycling that we really enjoy. I have a 79 Yamaha XS650 that I built myself. It's a cafe racer motorcycle. So I like to find some nice 2-lane roads and zip around Somerset County on that. I also play music. So every Tuesday and Wednesday night when it's not a meeting week, my cats get a horrible acoustic covers concert. Lucky them. So I play bass, I play guitar, I play piano.
Oh my goodness, this man does everything.
E flat, alto, saxophone. And then my mother-in-law dropped off my wife's clarinet from high school, and I'm like, I could learn to play that.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. If you said you already do saxophone, I know a lot of people that kind of switch back and forth with those.
Yeah, they're keyed the same.
Yeah.
And I just need to get a reed for that. So I do that. And then, we were talking before we started, you like to do arts and crafts stuff, and I do as well. So I make Star Wars props out of EVA foam. I do helmets primarily. And a lot of people do that stuff for cosplay. I don't cosplay myself, but I just really like taking two-dimensional planar objects and creating something three-dimensional out of them.
That's cool. I want to get into that, but I wouldn't know where to start. Like everything I do, like arts and crafts, is usually like painting, which is totally flat.
Yeah.
Versus crafting a helmet. Like I wouldn't know where to start with that.
Well, I could tell you. Look up something called Pepcora. Pepcora is paper crafting, so taking paper and making them. That's the first thing I did. I did a Stormtrooper helmet out of paper, and I'm like, well, how's this thing going to be structurally sound after I glue it together? But the way they go together, it just holds its shape. And you could get like a Pepcora viewer and the patterns for pretty much anything under the sun for free on the internet, of course. Yeah. And then that translates very easily into the EVA foam stuff. And EVA foam's nice because it's very moldable. You can heat it up and then bend it over like bowls and stuff to get curves and complex shapes out of it. You could texturize it and make it look like metal. You can make it look like wood. It's a very, very versatile material to work in. And yeah, I made that one Stormtrooper helmet, and then Bill Duran from Punished Props did, when he got 100,000 subscribers, he did a Mandalorian helmet for free that he would give you the pattern for. And I watched that and I was like, well, I want to build a Mandalorian helmet. And I did. And now I've got like Stormtroopers, Shock Troopers, like there's a whole pile of helmets just sitting in my office at home that I make. And those are usually a winter project, and I need to find one. I haven't started one yet this winter.
No, that's cool though.
Yeah.
I love that. I was going to say, do you have room in your house for all the kayaks and canoes and bikes? And now we're talking crafts too?
Yeah. And books. I'm a junkie when it comes to books. I've got space. I just have to creatively organize stuff. The garage holds all the bikes and the kayaks and stuff. And then in our basement, I've got a little work area to do the crafting stuff. And then my office, it's a spare bedroom upstairs, has all of my guitars and my keyboards and all of that stuff in it.
Yeah, that's crazy. I feel like you have multiple times amount of time that I do in any typical day. Is your typical day like 30, 40 hours long?
I get up at 4 every morning and go to the gym, and then I'm at work at 6:30, and then I've got my evenings to do one of that list.
So you
of
don't
things.
sleep, essentially.
No, a couple hours here and there.
Do you think your amount of time, has anything to do with you not having kids? Do you think that because you don't have, little humans to take care of, you have all this extra time to yourself to pick up all these hobbies?
I do. And, I see both sides of the coin. I see the benefits to having kids and getting to nurture a young life and educate them and make them a small version of yourself. But at the same time, I really enjoy the freedom that not having kids has afforded us. And I don't feel like mine and my wife's life is missing anything as a result of not having kids. In fact, I think that we're actually a stronger couple because we don't have that distraction of kids, pulling our attention one direction or another, or us never being home because we have to take them to sports or dance or whatever the case might be. So I feel kind of fortunate that we don't have kids.
I was going to say, do you feel any pressure? Because I feel like in Johnstown, that's kind of the traditional, get married, have children, traditional family values around here.
It is. And, oh, wait, I'm wearing my Cats Not Kids t-shirt, actually.
I know, I wore a cat shirt today for you as well.
I love it. That's an awesome one, actually. Nice and
I just
festive.
got it at Goodwill for $2 or $3 or something. So I was like, I need more cat shirts.
Yeah, everybody needs more cat shirts. Oh my God, I lost my train of thought. What was the question?
About, do you feel pressure because Johnstown's traditionally kind of, get married, have kids kind of thing?
Not so much anymore. Right after we got married, people would ask, "Oh, when are you guys having kids?"
I'm not looking forward to that.
No, and it's annoying. It's like, well, first off, it's none of your business.
Yeah.
This is a decision for the two of us to make.
And are you going to be raising them? Like, you keep talking, you want them so bad, have your own,
Yeah, I like the little bit of disposable income I managed to scrape together as a result of not having kids. So there was pressure, I feel, at first. And, maybe not so much as a guy, I didn't feel it so much. But, as a woman, I can't imagine, my wife's perspective of people always hounding her, when are you going to have kids? When are you going to have kids? When are you going to have kids? That would get old really fast, in my opinion. And some people just don't want kids, and that's okay. But you're right. It is part of that Johnstown cycle. It seems like you get married, you have kids, and then you watch your kids grow up, get married, you just repeat the cycle, lather, rinse, repeat. But one perk of not having kids is I've been able to spend all this time doing things that I hope make the community 0.0001% better than when I found myself coming to it. It's nice to be able to do the community outreach stuff and volunteerism.
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to pass, goodwill on to the next generation. You can benefit the community, just by yourself.
Right, and I've had the privilege of getting to work with kids, and I hope encourage them to look at the world a little bit different. I took a group of the Johnstown High School Fishing Club kids out to sample acid mine drainage. So we do quarterly sampling of acid mine drainage, and we send that to DEP to build cases for treatment plants to keep the Stony Creek clean and Shade Creek and Paint Creek and that stuff. So I took them out, and they didn't understand before that that's what has to happen for them to have clean streams to fish in. But after I took them out, they were so excited, and the kids were like, "Can I get the water out of the creek?" I'm like, "Yeah," giving them bottles and the little meter to read. So, it's things like that even though we don't have children,
you're still influencing young minds.
Yeah, and it's a good feeling. And then another program I had been involved with, my friend Ian owns a company out of Pittsburgh called Surfs Up, and he does stand-up paddleboarding trips. And he cut his teeth doing whitewater stand-up paddleboarding on the Stony Creek, so we got to be very good friends. He did a program called First Waves. And First Waves takes kids from the community that might be marginalized and not get exposure to outdoor recreation, and it teaches them how to stand up paddleboard. And he always held it at Greenhouse Park. And in partnership with that, he gets Pittsburgh filmmakers involved, and the kids get to learn how to make a documentary about their experience.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and some of these kids, they come in, and the first day, they're so shy and introverted, and they've never seen this stuff before. And by the second day, they're smiling, they're laughing, and it profoundly changes them for the better. And getting to be a part of that makes any negative aspect of not having kids just completely vanish.
Yeah, that's really cool. When you said the company's in Pittsburgh, but he does it like here at like Greenhouse and stuff.
Yeah. Johnstown is his first love when it comes to water and venue for holding the event. And he does it every year, and it's pretty amazing. He's managed to grow. I think he has 4 programs now. So he has First Waves Johnstown, First Waves Indiana, First Waves Pittsburgh, and I think he does one up on Moraine as well.
Okay.
And he started out just right here in Johnstown.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's his full-time job now, which is awesome. He had to do
just like teaching kids and stuff, or the paddleboarding?
The paddleboarding and the First Waves program.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So moving back to you and your personal life. So since you don't have kids, you have cats. You have a lot of cats. You got the cat shirts going on. So what's that like? And I know something Nick and I have talked about. We had a previous episode about pets, like the pet friendliness of this town. Do you think that Johnstown's a very pet friendly place?
I don't. There's no shame in criticizing where there's criticism that is needed. Like,
oh, absolutely.
Yeah. The fact that you can't walk a dog through Central Park is a shame. So, maybe that turns people off from just going downtown with their pets in general. And I feel like there are a couple of other areas in Johnstown, too, that should be more pet friendly. They are making strides. So Sandyvale has that little dog park down at the end of it. Stackhouse has always been open to dogs as long as you're out there and you're being respectful and cleaning up after them.
Yeah.
But I feel like as a whole, the city could be a little more pet friendly. And I'm not a dog owner, and I can see that. So from the perspective of a dog owner, I'd imagine that it even looks less pet friendly.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. The thing with cats is at least you can kind of keep them inside, or usually keep them inside. I feel like part of it for cats and dogs is also like the vets.
Yeah.
Like I feel like no vets are accepting, the shelter that we have, the one shelter we have is always full of cats and dogs. And do you see any like solutions for that?
No, I don't. And, there are some really great rescues out there that do fostering, especially of like cats and kittens in particular. And even they seem completely overwhelmed. And I don't know what the solution to that is. I don't think we have an actual like dog catcher or animal control department in the city anymore. There used to be one. But like TNR is a solution, but there's no organizations that are doing TNR en masse. So that's trap, neuter, release.
Yeah, it's just been a couple at a time. There's a few different organizations that offer like low cost, like clinics and stuff like that. And dog catcher Dave, he works with CART now, the Cambria animal response team.
Okay.
So they do a little bit of the rescues and stuff, but they do have a humane officer now at the Humane Society.
Oh,
so
I didn't know that.
No dog catcher, but they have a humane officer, so she can essentially cite people, for breaking whatever laws, animal abuse, like stuff like that.
Yeah, and it seems too that there's a lot of irresponsible pet ownership, and this is probably everywhere. Don't get me wrong. Like, I am very particular about taking animals to the vets. Like if my cat sneezes, I'm like, oh my God, we're going to the vet. But I know people that like absolutely will not get their animals spayed and neutered.
Yeah,
like,
that's the first thing I would do. With
it's the bare minimum.
Yeah.
That and vaccinations. And people aren't even willing to do that. There's that mentality that like, oh, I got a free kitten, so it's free. Well, no, there's a lot of expenses that go along with responsible pet ownership.
Yeah.
And I feel like there are an awful lot of people that take the free kitten in, and then when they realize that there's more responsibility, they just, boop, outside you go.
Yeah, and that's fine if it's fixed already, it's sad, but like when they're not, and then we're reproducing, and then we have 2,000 cats in Moxham, it's like, where are they all gonna go? And the Humane Society's always been full forever.
Yeah, and on top of like them always being at capacity, recently they had that gentleman pass away down in West End, and they had 30 chihuahuas, I think,
something like that.
that they rescued. All of a sudden there are 30 more animals that they have to care for. I couldn't imagine what kind of pressure is on them up there to do that.
Yeah,
especially whenever they're sharing pictures on Facebook saying, hey, we're low on dog food, and they show their shelves and they've got like 3 bags of dog food.
I know, it's so sad.
Yeah, so we donated a bunch of blankets whenever they rescued those chihuahuas. I had a bunch of like fleece blankets that they were in great shape, so I washed them all and took them up there, and hopefully that helps
Yeah,
out.
they're always looking for blankets. When I was there, it was like racks and racks of blankets. They're always getting torn up or, pooped on or whatever it is. So they always need blankets, always need food, obviously.
Yeah.
So that's great that you're able to do that.
Yeah. It would be nice if there were like some kind of money out there for the Humane Society to expand their building.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. If they had more space, more staff, but it's the same thing with everywhere. We need a bigger house for more animals. We need more vets to take care of the animals that do exist in these local homes.
Exactly. And that's the other problem too. There are some really great vets in the area, but it seems like all of them are understaffed right now. No fault of their own, because from what I understand, there's a national vet shortage. So they're struggling too. So even if you do get a pet and you want to be a responsible pet owner, sometimes it's difficult to do that because nobody's accepting new patients.
Yeah, it's just there's so much. There's both sides of the coin where it's like nowhere's accepting and they're overflowing with animals, and it's just this vicious cycle that's going on. And like you said, nationally too.
Yeah.
So, enough about cats and animals. Let's talk more about yourself. So, we were on your podcast. We want to talk about how you got started with that. I know you said you were sponsored by Remax or something. How do you know to do that?
Well, so let's go back a little bit. I had a previous career in radio.
Okay.
I was one of the DJs on Hot 92 and Rocky 99 for a long time, and then I had to get a real job, which is the real job I have now, because radio doesn't pay that great. So I had gone a long time without doing any kind of media production type stuff, and that's really that's my love right there. I love media production.
Yeah, we understand that completely.
Hey, you guys are the same, I'd imagine. So we had that rec committee, and we were trying to think of ways to expose the public to some of these cool things that are happening in Johnstown. And Jen Tiffany, my partner in crime at the Chamber, was like, why don't we do a podcast? And literally, she said that, and a week later we had a podcast up and ready to go.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I am going to be recording episodes 58 and 59 this week. Thanks to Jen being part of the Chamber, she was able to talk to Bob Colvin at Remax and get them to sponsor the podcast. And they helped fund the equipment that we use, which is really awesome because audio equipment's not cheap. And yeah, it's been a really great process since then. I've had an absolute blast. There have been times when I'm like, how long can I sustain this? Are there that many people in Johnstown that I can talk to that are going to be interesting? And I thought that around episode 30. And here I am 20 some episodes later, and I have a list of people that I still want to talk to, because when you start scratching the surface of what's going on in the area, there are a lot of really cool people doing really great things.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've talked to how many people were in our episode 20s now. We were just 50, and you said you're already at 58 and 59.
Yeah.
I mean, there's endless people to talk to, even if you don't find, a big name necessarily. You could find someone who has walked and biked the local trails and see what they think of it. Hey, what do you think of my work? I made this trail. What'd you think of it? So the list of people in this town is endless, and there's 18,000 some people. You can get pretty far, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of been the direction I've been going a little bit. So previously, I would have had guests on. I would have been like, this is Nick and Jenny from small town Johnstown. But now it's just, hey, this is Bob and Sarah, and they went hiking. And I'm talking to people that are going out and enjoying things like the Lorraine Stony Creek Trails or the Laurel Highlands Hiking Trail, and trying to see what they think of the developments that they see in Johnstown. Where are there deficiencies in recreational development that we can be better? And have they gone to other cities and seen what other cities are doing that we can do? And I really like talking to those people. So now I literally have 18,000 more people I can talk to.
Exactly. Everyone has a story, everyone has opinions, and everyone has a different experience. So I don't think there will ever be a shortage of people to talk to.
No. And there are some people too. Eric Knopfsnyder's a good example. He does public relations for Go Laurel Highlands. He's been on twice now because Go Laurel Highlands will have something going on, and then 6 months later they've got something else going on, and he'll just text me and be like, hey, can I do another episode? I'm like, absolutely, come on in. So it's been a really, really great process. It scratches the itch for that need to be in media production / radio kind of feel. and I really like it a lot. The only thing I haven't done yet is get rid of my filler words. I say a lot, and I just did it.
We still do too. Everyone says it. It's okay. It's what you got your AI programming for.
Exactly. Descript. It does wonders.
So how can people listen to your podcast or maybe check out some of your work, or when are you going to be finished with the trails too?
Never. Let's start with the podcast. So it's on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and iTunes. Or anywhere else you get podcasts, really. But those are the big ones, it seems. It's on Amazon Music, too. If somebody wants to learn about the Incline Plane Trails in particular, I have a Friends of the Incline Plane Trails Facebook page that I usually do live videos every Saturday or Sunday. They can follow that. Or they can just show up and help me dig on a Saturday or Sunday, and I'll tell them all about it. When it comes to the Canoe Club, we have a brand new website, benscreekcanoeclub.com. All of our information, including the releases out of the Conemaugh Dam, because we do whitewater releases through the summer. All of that's on there. Whereadventurelives.org is a good place to find the podcast and the rec committee stuff and all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah, we can attach that all to the YouTube and the Spotify, Apple, and also we are on Amazon Music as well.
Awesome. That sounds good.
So thank you so much for coming on. We learned so much about you, and I feel like you got enough going on. We could definitely have you on again if we really wanted to.
Yeah, I would be happy to come back. I appreciate you guys having me on.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.